Hello guys and welcome to the BWN Podcast. I've got a fantastic guest today to really set things off in a very, very big way. And uni students who are in my fellow year group will very much be excited about the episode that's about to happen. Today we have Mr. Nicholas Glean, a former industry cinematographer. And it's going to be a really exciting time because I've learnt a lot from this man. And it's going to be wonderful to have him on the pod and have him talk about his past and what really got him into film. And the big question for today is, will AI destroy the world? Or more specifically, the film industry, but you know, it's title and thumbnail, I've got to be a bit dramatic. So, to get to things first, I've got a bit of a monologue system that's going to happen in these episodes where I do a bit of an opening segment, but doesn't waste the guest's time. So I kind of just get to it, really. So first of all, how are you guys feeling? I want to kind of check in at the start of these episodes and really ask the audience how you guys are doing at home. Of course, I really want to bring a focus to the network about bigging people up and showing them who they are and really helping them get by in a sense. We are a place of escapism that if you ever low at a point or you want just a place to come and say hi and escape to, we're here. We're always going to be here for you to make content. And over the next 4 months until the release slate of 2025 begins, we're going to be here every single week from today, the 10th of January. So, next up, I will talk about what's happened in the week. Really, this week's kind of been a bit dry other than my channel really getting into full swing now with the new weekly release schedule really in full swing now with a daily system of 7 days, if you guys don't know that yet, where we have Monday memes on a Monday, Trailer Tuesdays on a Tuesday, Watch Along Wednesdays on a Wednesday, Keeping It Real, my new Instagram Reel series on a Thursday, sort of gaming videos on a Friday, but this week it's kind of been like an information video and that'll be airing today. Tomorrow we have Happy Saturday, and I'll be reacting to dog videos, I believe. And on Sunday, we have the first of my Sunday vlogs set up, which I think is the first you guys are going to know of this. But yeah, we might not always do that, but at least this week, it's going to be Sunday vlogs. So my channel's really getting into full swing and has been doing so since the start of the year. So if you want to go over and subscribe to my new solo channel, which is going to be having daily uploads for 2025, you can check that out as soon as you want to, really. Or if you want to, it's something different, really. If you like the real professional angle, which we're going for on the main channel, then just stick here. If general casual YouTube is not something you're interested in, and vice versa, if it's something that you really wish we'd go more into, my channel's definitely the place for you. And frankly, to boost numbers, if you like both, subscribe to both. We've got good stuff on either or system. We're putting a load of work and a load of quality control into our efforts in 2025. So, with entertainment coming out this week, as much, I believe in terms of streaming, the only really notable thing to say is Goosebumps The Vanishing, I believe, is a show that starts this week. And we have a lot of films kind of kicking off 2025. But again, January and February and award seasons with big releases are usually quite dry. But right now, there is a couple to be on the radar for. Releasing today in cinemas, which we'll be talking about like possibly later down the line if I decide to cover them. We have A Real Pain, came out in the UK on the 8th. And it's 2 days ago. And we also have Baby Girl and Maria came out today as well. So the Nicole Kidman and Angelina Jolie films. Next week in particular, this I know for certain we'll be covering Nosferatu finally. A lot of people are very, very excited about that. And as of the time recording, I'll be seeing this tomorrow night. Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. But today in particular, we're going to be talking about We Live in Time. So, this is technically the first film of the year, the true New Year's Day release, so the smaller release to Nosferatu's sort of bang that's really setting the world on fire right now. People are very excited for it, and they have been watching it in cinemas and they've been thoroughly enjoying it. But We Live in Time was, to me, the true first film of the year, and I saw it last night, and honestly, I can say it is exactly what I expected it to be. It is such a soulful and somber piece of just true love and loss, and there's a real tragic nature about it that really, really, really touched me. And it's sheer, the biggest thing I can say about We Live in Time, it's sheer authenticity. There's a certain feeling around this film, and it's the dialogue particularly. It's the fact how they have the product placement. It's not laughable, it's just so raw. The fact how a doctor to console somebody over news, which it's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler. She gets literally celebrations out of her top drawer and hands it to them in comfort. It's just so real. This is a story that you would thoroughly believe would actually happen, and I would not be surprised I'm not sure if it's based off a novel, but I would not be surprised at all if this story very much did happen, because it uses dates that are only a few years old now. So I do feel this story probably actually happened, and I wouldn't be surprised if that news came out, or at least it has, and I haven't seen it yet. But there's just a genuine rawness to what this film is that I think, especially in this country, people can relate to. Like, from everything from just the accents to the locations to just the sheer realism of the story that's being told, and just how relatable it is. It is honestly heartbreaking due to its rawness. You see a lot of films like this, but its authenticity goes a long way. And to bring that authenticity to life, another thing that needs to be said is the sheer tour de force. My accent cannot say them words properly, but the sheer power of the performances from these two leads here. I would say A Good Person tops this from a few years ago in terms of Florence Pugh, but this is without doubt one of my favourite performances from her. She was honestly incredible here. Genuinely had me beaming from ear to ear in the true sort of rom-com-y style scenes. Just her delivery and her infectious chemistry with Garfield is off the charts. I would never see them as a true movie couple until now. And you see this movie and it's just palpable and undeniable, more specifically. You can't escape the sheer emotionality that sweeps over you because of how convincing these performances are. And Garfield just breaks your little heart. Garfield is beyond soulful here. There are some scenes where you really just feel just shit. There's nothing you can do to help, and he just captures that raw sadness so well, but that also strength of being that sort of husband and partner figure as well as a father. He really captures that sort of keep calm and carry on despite the strife, and all of that combined creates a film that is just a sheer wave of emotion that really gets the year off to a fantastic start. So yeah, that's the first time I'm doing that because Maester Reviews is no longer a thing, but I think that's the more respectful way to do it, really. I've just kind of given my thoughts on We Live in Time rather than giving a review. But I just still love to talk about films, so I'd love to do that in my opening monologues from now on. But other than that, we have an extra special topic next week, which is kind of a different one for an episode 2. It's a bit of a swing, actually. But let me know, guys, what comments you'd like, what topics you'd like me to cover on the podcast. In the comments below, and we can ask those big questions on this platform over the next few months if you guys are interested in having any particular questions answered that you guys have in mind. So that just about does it for my opening monologue. So I think now it's time to introduce my extra special guest for the first episode of the new BWN podcast under the new system. We have Mr. Nicholas Glean. Cut to the rest of the episode. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's time for the discussion now, and today, as said, I'm joined by my first guest on the BWN podcast, Mr. Nicholas Glean.
Hello.
How are you doing?
You're good. Thank you. Yes, I am. Very good.
This is a very weird feeling, to be honest, because I never thought this day would ever come.
Why?
It's so surreal that you've given me such good advice over a year and a bit now. I've been here over everything I'm doing with this and trying to improve and get better by the month. And I never thought you'd actually be in the heart of it, like in the spotlight for 1 week. It's very much a one night only thing here.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about my key thing. So, as in my household, it's known as the drinking game.
How come?
Because I mention it for everything. Everything. I'm always talking about the same thing again and again and again. So now I can have a little time to talk about it even more. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. This topic today, yeah, it is very much a juicy one to kick things off. But first of all, I think, well, for uni students and the primary audience, at least for this first episode, very much will probably know who you are.
Hopefully.
But yeah,
but if they don't,
would like to think so. But it's for those of you who don't know you, this is a good opportunity to kind of tell a bit about your background, what got you into film, that sort of thing. So what really got you into it? Because at least in our case, we massively respect you as a sort of filmic mind and all of your grand design knowledge. But what really got you into it in the first place? What was the passion there?
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name's Nicholas Glean. I'm a senior lecturer here at University of Sunderland. I've been here 22 years now. Ooh. long time. So where did my journey started? Well, I think originally I started in drama. I was, as you could probably tell, I like to perform, right, as you could probably tell. And it started that way. Mm-hmm. And I grew up with, my mum was a big one because my mum used to make me watch tons of melodramas, right? So I grew up watching melodramas, but I wasn't really into that. And then the BBC used to have something called Play for Today. And I used to watch that as a kid and I really loved it. And it was like, it was a serious, when my parents shouldn't have let me be watching these kind of dramas, how serious they were. I was watching tons of those and that gave me a real sense of drama, and then I went to performance, and then the next thing was to get into film. And because of control, you kind of you want to control stuff, because I had a short-term run as a comedy writer and I'd sent stuff out to people, and I thought I was funny, right? In my mind, I thought I was funny. I sent stuff out, and one went to a guy called Paul Jackson. And Paul Jackson was well known. He had produced the Young Ones and stuff like that, and he was doing the Lenny Henry show. So I sent stuff in, and I was hoping I could get in. And I was calling his office. In those days, you could. You can't do anything like that anymore. So I called his office to find out how it was going, and he was, yeah, blah blah blah, and all kinds of stuff. Looked great. Something's going to happen. And then a while later, I heard nothing. I thought, well, this is a month or so. So I called him back again, and basically said, look. He sent me a nice letter. He said, look, you've captured Lenny's rhyme and his distribution and everything. So I thought, yeah, something's going to, naive. I thought something's going to happen. And then I go through the process, and he turns up and he says, well, if we don't want to pass it on, we don't have to. And then I was like, okay, that hit me pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because I thought I'd been built up on this other thing. And then I went to Weekending, which was a really good show for comedy writers to get into. And they had the unsolicited writers room, where you go in there and you bounce ideas. And if you come up with a line or quick sketch, it could make the Weekending show that week. And they kept it open. So I went in for that and tried and cut my teeth there. And basically why I never went back again is when one guy said, him and another guy had a joke that was on Benny Hill. And he had half a sentence, and the guy had the other half of the sentence, and they kind of got paid for. I shared the money, and I was like, "This is not what my romantic vision of comedy writing was about. It's haggling for lines. You're haggling for a line. You're haggling for the joke line." And I just thought to myself, "Nah, it's not for me." And then from that, I just started going places. But I'd run into this guy at college. I had a guy, really impactful was a lecturer called Peter Titherington. I'm waffling quite a bit, as you know I would. A guy called Peter Titherington, who was teaching at, it was Luton Higher Ed at the time. And he was impactful as a lecturer. I mean, impactful. We were like little groupies or some around him at some point in time. It was overwhelming because he was so... He was wonderful, he was wonderful. He was this fountain of knowledge. He was this straight line. He was a serious person about areas, but he was about drama, and he related drama to film. Because basically what happened to Peter had finished an undergraduate degree at Swansea, then had gone on to London International Film School, and he was on a pathway to be a director. I mean, that's what his focus was. And then he got cancer. And then after cancer, it took him out for a while. Then he says, I'm living my 30s now. He goes, in my 40s, because I lost so many years through cancer. Yeah. But he was a massive film guy. And he would do like A-level literature classes. And he would always link it to films. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to cover Hamlet. Hamlet's in the room. He's talking to Claudius. Claudius now is thinking very much like Marlon Brando in The Godfather. He's sitting thinking, and Hamlet is very similar to Al Pacino, also in The God. And I was like, what? And he'd mentioned all these film references. We're writing away. And so that kind of got me in. And then I moved to London. And then when I moved to London, all these other experiences happened. And then I just met another guy called Jim Pines, who was very influential in the Black workshop film kind of group era. I met Jim Pines. And Jim was a mentor stroke dad for me, even though he used to get upset when I mentioned that. I mean, he used to get really upset about that. But he was like a mentor stroke father figure for me, Jim Pines. And between that way of coming through Luton, because I also went to, my mate at the time was Bradley Stevens, who's become a film critic writer. Because Bradley used to have when I went to Bradley's bedroom, Bradley's wall to wall was VHS cassettes. He was quoting lines from films. I had no idea. He would just be lending me these videos. So all this wave happened when I was in Luton. And when I moved to London, I did a BFI course, like an introduction course. And then I went to what's now Thames University, but it was Ealing Higher Ed, for all these books, and then my world just exploded. It exploded from that point in time, and it just never came back. And so basically those people got me in. Jim was very influential in helping me think about film and let me mouth off about film. And then we used to have these courses Channel 4 had this thing called Movie Masterclass, and that's where I saw for the first time Mohammad Hassan talk about Seven Samurai. And after he talked to me about Seven Samurai, life was just never going to be the same anymore. Yeah. That was a bit long-winded. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. No, it's absolutely fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's what you're here for. It's what the people want. It's very interesting to me how you come from, how you had such an interest in comedy that I did not even know about until now. But it's very interesting how there's almost like a bit of a reputation that goes around that. It's never surprising when a well-known comedian is a very good dramatic actor. That's kind of a thing that's that goes around a lot. So it's very interesting to me how that would be your roots, and you would somehow find your way to drama. It kind of very much keeps with that trend, but behind the camera instead. It's so from there, obviously, you then found your true calling, which was cinematography.
Yes, I loved that cinematography. Yes.
What really, in terms of sort of your industry experience, tell us a little bit about that. So that's how you got in.
Yeah.
And what happened what happened when you were in the Lions Den?
So I got out from there, and then I went to uni just to get kit. And I was like every aspiration of everybody. What would I do? Would I do cinematography, or would I do acting? Directing, because everybody wants to direct. And then I went to this. There used to be a fantastic film bookshop just off Tottenham Court Road. It was like the cinema bookshop. And it was so famous. It was such a famous bookshop off Tottenham Court Road that actors used to come in when they were in London, and they would come into the shop and they would like sign posters or something. So the guy always had a poster of something signed by a director or signed by a leading actor. Everybody you mentioned in London at that time in the 80s, well, from the 70s, 80s, and in the 90s, everybody was in this cinema. But it was a very small, cold, drafty place, right? But in there, I discovered this book called Masters of Light, and that's what kind of started me really thinking about cinematography. But even when I was an undergraduate, I didn't commit to cinematography, which I think was an error of mine. I didn't commit fully to it because I still wanted to direct. Yeah. I have this movie in me. It has to, all that kind of stuff. So I got out. And then I hit recession. Then the recession came in '92, and there was nothing because I was working. I was doing little videos here, lighting stuff for people who didn't know how to light. I was like all that kind of stuff. And then recession hit, and then there was nothing.
Yeah.
And I'd done something that I suggest nobody does. Is I got married in my third year before I finished the degree. Don't ask. So and now I had a wife and everything. So I thought, what am I going to do? But my sister-in-law, and my wife's Turkish, so my sister-in-law goes, okay, why don't you come to Turkey to work? They have these news stations. They just opened these private TV stations in Turkey. You go out there and work. And before then, I'd run around. I'd done camera assisting here. I'd done, second of the year, third assistant of the assistant doing stuff. I've been on any feature that was around London. I was holding an umbrella. I did all that kind of run around stuff that you do. Always thinking on the never, never. Yes, one day. Because all that kind of stuff. So I went to Turkey. Because it was Wild Wild West, and it really was the Wild Wild West. They'd only had the government channel, and now they'd opened up all these private channels, so they didn't know what to do. So quickest way in was news, just to work. And I'd gone for these interviews, and my wife's cousin took us around the stations, and it's really interesting because they introduce you to somebody else, you sit down, you have a tea and biscuits, and that's saying you have no idea what's going on because they're all speaking Turkish, and I'm sitting there going, just nodding all the way through everything. And then suddenly you get this phone call back from, I said, okay, you got an interview. Okay, you got the gig. Okay, you got. So I got this job of Show TVs, where I got my first job, which is in editing. So I was doing 2-machine editing, that kind of stuff. And then that was a hell of an experience, because that was a rocky experience. It was the kind of experience, you want to shine to show what you can actually do. So it was an editing kind of thing I got. So I'm trying to do everything. And first thing works. And the second thing I tried to edit was a total disaster, because I couldn't. But I managed to recover myself and go through. And then nobody wants to come and do edits with me because they can't speak English. And I'm really thinking, what am I doing? I'm just hanging around. I think they're going to cut me sooner or later. What's going to happen? And I was one nice guy, Ted, who's their main editor guy. He said to me, he goes, look, no problem. He goes, just get a bit. Once you've got some Turkish under your belt, you can cut. I can see you. You can edit. You can do this job. You just need a bit more Turkish under, and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, let's just say me and this company decided to part.
And that's all that needs to be said.
But on the day I was departing, I got a phone call that I got another job. So I was lucky. So I got this other job. I went in there, and basically it was the news channel, which consisted of the head news guy and his assistant and me. That's all there was, right? And all there was, and the head guy was an American, so he had a translator. That was it. So 4 of us. That was the whole ATV news. That was it. And this idea that they knew what we're going to do, all this stuff. And then I had to go and shoot it all. All the early stuff. I had to shoot idents, anything that was happening. I shot all that early stuff to build up. So they needed something on the channel over certain periods of time, because I just got all these guys coming from CBS and all that who were going to do the drama and game shows, but they weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
So they had to have something running, not just with the test signal, they had to have something running. So that was my job. I didn't know that was my job, but suddenly that was my job. Mm-hmm. And I went out there and I just shot tons and tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff.
And the rest is history, I guess.
Oh, God, yeah.
There's obviously, with your industry experience, I think there's definitely an angle that you don't shy away from, that you've told us a lot of students, which is make no mistake about it, there is most certainly a brutality out there to the industry, and you've got to be very tough to try and navigate that, in a sense. You have a very tough mind, if anything. This concept in itself is very tough and hard to grapple around. It's something that I think a lot of people always assumed was coming. It's here, and you've made a very big point about it in classes, that it's developing faster than a lot of people can comprehend. And in a year to 6 months to a year, in those increments, it jumps in quality enormously. And that is its ability to mimic things, to replace things, to do an awful lot. And a lot of people are not only skeptical about it, but incredibly afraid. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about AI. I know this is a key interest of yourself, sort of thinking of the future and where things are going, because everything's been very traditional and practical up until now. And a lot of people are kind of spooked about what's happening, especially in the context of the film industry, but also in industries as a whole. So I know what your stance roughly is on this already, but to share it with everybody else, will AI destroy the world?
Well, no, it won't destroy the world at all. You see, the thing... Okay. Here's the thing, right? As a student, you have a romanticism. Mm-hmm. And that's what you pay for. You pay for the romantic view, or you pay for the romantic vision. And the last thing you need is some Herbert like myself turning up and telling you the woes of what's just outside this room type thing, right? When everything inside this room is fantastic and other things are telling you it's wonderful, and why does that need to change, you know? And it's very hard and it's very difficult. And that's the thing, because I went through the process myself. You go out there in the world and it's incredibly cold. But when do you need to hear that? That's the question, isn't it? When do you need that? If I say to you, the practical things that you're learning are useless, you're going to be very upset. right? Everyone's going to be annoyed at me if I say that, okay? The conceptual things that you're learning are gold, but the practical things are useless. Now you're going to go, wait a minute. I signed up for the practical things. I'm fed up with the conceptual things because that's what school was all about, right? Yeah. School was all about that. And all I want to do, Nick, is pick up a camera, run around with a camera, and shoot some stuff and edit some stuff on a machine and put it out there. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to do that. And I'm saying to you, no, that's over, right? That's over. This technology is changing rapidly and people are slowly going towards it and changing rapidly. Now, it's not going to disappear quickly, but I remember in 2011 when I heard the first conversations about 4K. Right? The first conversations about 4K hit me was 2011. It happened already. It was IBC 2011, but I was showing my kids and we were watching it. And I can't remember the guy's name. It will come to me during the conversation. But this guy makes this prediction and said, if you're not on this thing, you're all dinosaurs. And we were like, okay, what's he talking about? He said, if you're not into digital, dinosaurs. If you're still on tape, if you're still shooting film, it's kind of over for you. If you're not organising it now, it's kind of over for you. You need to be on this already. That was 2011. So by the time I started to kind of put that together and work out the workflows and things were coming, I ran into people, we had people come and visit, and every BBC person I ran into just laughed at me. And they patted you on the head in a very kind of condescending way. Yeah, one day you'll be a real boy, so one day it will be a real thing, right? And I got really angry. I said to them, by 2014, I said, look, it's already going to be implemented by Netflix. It's already going to be implemented for Amazon. Yeah, by 2016 or whatever, it's on the phone. It's gone beyond just being on the camera. It was on the phone, right? For them to kind of understand. Now, 4K, the reason why they're reacting, because 4K is equivalent to 35 millimeter. And if you're Gen X like myself, 35 millimeter is it's the pinnacle of everything, right? 35 film. That's what you turned up for. That's the whole thing, right? Yeah. So now it translated digitally to 4K. It's supposed to be the big thing, but it isn't, because it's not the same. It's very different. Digital is not film. It doesn't have the same aesthetic as film. It's completely different.
They were laughing about it then. 60 frames per second, 4K.
There we go. So, because I told them, but I'd said to my kids since they were small, I said, my main mantra was, film was too expensive. Video was very accessible, but nobody liked how video looked. Something was going to combine them together. And then once that happened, we were going to shoot off. And then the whole accessibility would be here. And that's what it is. I think why people are scared of AI is because they don't quite understand it. They're thinking Terminator, right? Yeah. They're thinking it's going to murder them in their beds. They're thinking it's HAL, Terminator, or some sort of machine that's going to grow up on them and change their minds or whatever it is. They think it's an anti-human thing and it's going to turn up and murder us or whatever it is. They don't quite see what it really is. So if you say to an adult, you say to an adult, go into the living room and there's a box. And the adult goes into the box. They'll pick up the box, look in the box. If there's nothing in the box, they'll take the box out and throw it in the rubbish, right? Because the box just has one use, which is to carry things in. It's a container for things. If you're 5, 6, or 4 years old and you go into the room and you see a box, that box is a tank, it's a hat, it's a robot friend, it's a boat, it's everything you can imagine it to be. But it's only the fact that you imagine it that it becomes what it is. And that's what AI is. AI is useless if you don't bring an imagination to it. If you think AI on its own is going to do something, then you're going to be you're sadly mistaken. Because all AI is a model, as an LLM model, large language model, is just a big thing that collects space on a data server somewhere. That's all it is. It's a library.
It's a massive hard drive.
That's it. That's all it is, right? It's the integration of systems. It's the integration of things that makes it interesting. You've got to prompt it, that wakes it up, right? You've got to send something to wake it up. And then once it's woken up, it can, what do you want me to do? Now I'm up. What do you want me to do? Okay, can you go and get that thing? Okay, I'll get that. I'll get something to get that. It's all like that. Yeah. So when I was starting to think about it, I thought about Aladdin. Right? I thought about Aladdin. I thought about that because what is Aladdin? So Aladdin, young street kid, what does he find? Finds a lamp. What does he need to do? Rubs the lamp. Genie comes out the lamp, says to the genie, I want a palace or whatever. Genie goes, okay, I'll get that for you. Right? Done. If you think of what AI as a process and as a system, not just as a model, but as a system does, is you've got the user, who's Aladdin. You've got the lamp, which is like digital transformation in terms of a computer system. The rub is voice or prompting. And the genie is the response from the AI, right? And it gives you an output, right? It's like that. So we as humans shouldn't be frightened of AI because we have actually brought AI into existence in our very kind of early storytelling concepts of things, right? We've wanted things. So the Hans Christian Andersen story, The Shoemaker and the Elves, for example, he's down on his own. No one's coming to his store. He's quite impoverished, the old guy. Luckily, 2 or 3 elves turn up and they do the shoes for him, right? And by the end of it, he's so happy. Him and his wife are wealthy. He makes little clothes and he gives them to the elves and the elves go off. So if you think of what the elves are AI agents, right? That's who the elves are. They're AI agents that are individually building something to put it together to service you, to give you what you want. That's 2 ways you can think about it to help diffuse the idea that it's going to murder you while you're sleeping.
I know you've talked previously about how it'll actually practically be applied, because you've said that there's with sort of film kit and also things that are used in traditional practical production. Practical production won't die; it'll just evolve.
Yes.
I know you've said that to me previously. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, look, one thing that people are worried about is that text into video is one thing, right? There's 2 kind of streams that's happened to us, which is those who want to play around with the tech and those who want the human-to-human experience. So the human-to-human experience is going to still remain, which is a room like this, you'll be able to do a performance, you'll be able to record it, the action and the movements of the characters, and then you'll be able to pull that with you into a kind of post or live process where you're physically changing the characters. Now, you can do that already with CGI, right? You can have a separate CGI team that are converting and changing, but it's very costly, it's very expensive, okay? What we're talking about is a similar process of 2 actors who are your friends acting something out in this room, but what we're watching is they're in a kitchen, they're in another environment, and then you've changed them, and instead of being 20-year-olds, they're now 70.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it's the way that you're still having the physical process of the filming and the organization and the human interactions that are needed in that process. But in terms of the output, you can change that output if you want to, which is what your beloved Marvel films do.
Let's not start. You broke my heart enough with those. Yeah. I've come to realise that I'm allowed to enjoy them. Let's just say that much. It's not. The quality's not exactly what I used to thought they were. It's a hard realisation with that when you've grown. It's a standard. It's when you grow up with a certain standard and you think the standard is gold, and then you get hit with an ice cold sledgehammer and told, no, there's a much higher standard which you can't even wrap your head around.
I think one of the things that people have to get used to is we're all very big on output. Output has always been our thing. How something looks, even you can see it in student productions, right? If it doesn't look like it could be on television or a film, as far as students are concerned, it's a failure, okay? Because students are all about output. And if you think about educational institutions, what we do is we grade output. The more it looks like that, the high grade, right? And also we mark the skills level that were involved in order to have the output, right? Yeah. So that's output is where we all mark from. And suddenly a system arrives and says, that's now meaningless. That level of output in this era is meaningless. What I'm interested in is what's your imagination and how much do you understand the thinking behind what you're creating? Now you've got a massive student dilemma there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because now it means students have to read a book, have to watch a film, and they have to discuss and analyse what does it mean can I take anything for granted anymore? That's the thing I loved about AI. AI goes, you cannot take things for granted. You cannot take a long shot, a medium shot, and a close-up shot for granted, which is what you do. You just say it's there and I'm going to use it. No. Why is it there and why are you using it?
Yeah.
That's going to be quite interesting because it will change the focus of students and it will change the focus of education institutions. You'll have less tech and more thinking. But the problem students are going to encounter is the people who have that knowledge are dying very quickly.
Yeah.
Because that's the boomer kind of generation. They're dying and disappearing very fast. So imagine all our as Gen X's, all our data is here. So we've gone from high art, from the Shakespearean thought and the Royal Ballet and the Royal Orchestra and all that kind of high-end stuff to kind of Joe's Calf stuff at the other end, right? So we've got that huge spectrum. So that gives us a lot of things to refer to in terms of, art, whether painting, sculpture, literature, etc. So we can do politics, history, we can do that. However, each generation, as the internet has come on, it's reduced that span. It reduces it more and more. So where you think you might be here in comparison to here, your audience are here.
Yeah.
So what you may think is a cliche for you and your generation is totally new for the generation you're going to be making products for.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's the ability, what education still has, the students are going to regret they're not using. They're going to go, I should have used the camera more. No. I should have used the editing suite more. No. Should have used the library more.
Yeah. Because God forbid students would ever go to a library, especially film students.
Exactly.
You've said themselves they want to go out with a camera.
Exactly, because one of the things you don't have is you don't, it's not, even if you get the ebook, fine, but there's some books that are not on ebooks that sometimes a library has. Like film, like we have this whole array of film comics, right? Film comic magazine or journal from the 1960s, 70s and 80s. It has some wonderful, important data that you can use in your own product making, right? That once that gets binned or baggled up or sent to somebody else, you no longer have access to that. And then when you want access for that, you have to pay for it. And that's the difficulty, isn't it, at different stages, is the things that are free and accessible at the moment, you're going to have to pay an awful lot of money for very soon, quicker than you think.
Yeah. So two things I take from that last segment, I would say with the sort of narrowed view of what's possible in the content that we make. That's exactly it, really. You said previously that it's really content. What it is we're making now, my generation.
Yes.
And so maybe you could touch a little bit on that. But the other thing is also with thought process and what you're saying about not taking the likes of a long shot for granted.
Yes.
I think a lot of thought is put into making something possible rather than asking the question why. Why do you do what you do?
Yes. Interesting. Okay, so when people make their first feature, right? You make your first feature. Say you're really lucky, and it's a whole journey. You make your first feature, however you can make it, right? By the time you make your first feature, and it's out there, you're not listening to anybody because you made a feature. If it wins something, oh my God, even worse. Even if you make a short film and it wins something, you're not listening to anybody anyway. But in that area, when you stop doing that, when you stop listening, when you stop reading, you stop developing. And the time when something doesn't work, you don't understand why it doesn't work. You just don't understand why it doesn't work. And that's deeply frustrating. And then somebody comes along with a different kind of experience and solves it in a second, and you get incredibly frustrated because you're like, it was there all the time. Why didn't I see it? Why didn't I make sense of that? Right? All that kind of stuff. And what they're showing you is experience, but it's also accessibility to a wider range of data that they can draw upon to solve an issue. That's what all content makers need to have.
Yeah.
Right? If I was a content maker who wanted to exist on YouTube, let's say for the next 10 years or so, even though it's going to move very fast, I would be mining as I said to you before, I would be mining old TV shows. I've been mining them as much from all over the world because YouTube gives you that. I'd be mining, not new ones. I'd go back in time, 70s, 60s. I'd be mining that as much as possible, making little notes of what I could steal. Because whatever generation you're presenting that to, they're not going to go back and watch that stuff.
Yeah.
And plus, it's going to be new. Right? So again, it's where the engagement with the concept of things. What is the talk show? So you say to yourself, okay, what's a podcast? A podcast is a talk show, but it's a form, right, of the modern talk show. Okay. This is the question. How do you construct a talk show?
Interesting.
Right? And then you begin the journey about what does it need to have and all that kind of stuff and how people have done it before and all that. Because many years ago, there used to be this American guy who used to do a talk show in his house with his mum and dad there. And it was very popular in America for a short span of time. Before the Kumars at number 42, which was kind of built off that way of thinking, right? The idea you come to somebody's house and there's granny and all that. This other guy did it in America. And it was shot a bit like Curb Your Enthusiasm was shot. Very similar vein. And that's what he did, come into my house. And all these guests, famous guests would come into his house, sit down, have a cup of tea. His mum would be there, or his granny would be there. And he'd wear a little suit on. Sorry, I think I touched my... He'd have his... Sorry about that. He'd have his little suit, on, and he'd go in and dress up and sit down and do all this stuff. And it was... He ran for a little while, and then obviously people moved on from that. But the talk show, because the talk show is back. It's very big in America, the talk show.
I think with everything with form of what you're talking about, there's I believe it. If I've got this massively wrong, I probably do. I think his name's Stephen Neal, who's a media theorist, and there's a genre theory of that it's all about repetition and difference. And the way you're saying about these new audiences are not going to go back to those old decades and watch things. It's very much about it's not copying. You're just reinventing the wheel, but also bringing in new elements for a new audience and a new generation. There's which, speaking of which, would kind of lead me on to my last question, really, with the sort of the Pandora's box of nuances when it comes to this topic. But I would close this out before we move on with my last question to you, which would be: when you look to the future about how people would make this new AI culture lucrative and how content's going to change as time goes on, there's always going to be a way that people take advantage on that for profit, and how the culture of the industry, both user generated and mainstream, will shift because of what's about to happen. What would you say, not only where you see things are going, but what would you say is your almost hope for the future? What do you hope? Because really, if there's anything that I would say about AI, it's that it's really, because you said it's basically a data collection point. It's about in the power of the humans who have control of it. If something bad was ever to happen, it would be our fault, not the AI's. So what would your hope for the future would be with how that kind of technology is handled, and what do you think the future for the industry overall is with that as a new context for the way things are done?
Well, I think there's more than enough people who are going to tell us the evilness of deep fake voices, AI clone voices, and the destruction, and how we need to be careful, and ethical considerations and regulational systems. There's a lot of that conversation going around, which I'm not going to disagree with. There's a lot of elements, and we are going to need that. The positivity is that we need to relook at our not human to machine, but machine to human interactions, because as the NVIDIA guy, Jensen, was talking about at CES this year, he goes, look, GeForce, the chip that they created, helped to encourage AI. Now AI is coming back in a loop to help them create the new kind of graphics cards. And that's what's happening. It's looping in. So yes, on one hand, you can write a whole film as a text to video if you want to. Good luck. You can use images that you've constructed to build that, which is, again, animation. Good luck. Or you can use data in terms of collecting data of people's physical movements. One of the things that's a problem with AI at the moment in terms of AI cinematography is positions in space. You can't really tell. It doesn't help you understand where you put something in the foreground or in the background and how long it stays before it moves and those activities. It doesn't understand that, because it doesn't understand where it exists within a 3D space yet. So because of that, you still need humans to walk around the space and get the things you want. You just change that later on when you color it with photorealism, etc., that type of thing. Okay, so say it has the ability to do that. Let's say it has the ability to do that. Let's say it has the ability to do everything you want it to do. That's what I would say. That's the way I start. I would go, it can do everything you want it to do. You want a Technicolor film? Yes. You want a show that looks like this? Yes. You want this person? Yes. What? You want Frank Sinatra to sing right in the middle of your show? Yes. It comes back to one point. What do you want to do? And that's the problem. The problem is not the fact that it can do these wonderful things or that it's scary. The real question is, do we have systems to help build necessary forms of imagination? Do we have that? Things will have to change. We have to have more sandbox. So at the moment, when students come in, students want you to show them how to switch the button on. I've had that so many times. And they get emotionally distraught and feel like they've wasted their money if you haven't showed them how to switch the button on. And really, what you should be doing is just giving them the equipment and buggering off to somewhere else and leaving them to work it out and pull it together. Because that's the skill that's really important. The problem solving, the group arranging, the group understanding to get something done, that is the gold. That's the real skill. It's not just a transferable skill, but that's the real skill because it's problem solving. So you give them a sandbox environment for them to kind of begin to grow. You do the same thing with imagination-based learning. So these are different things. So you've got like sandbox-based learning, you've got problem-based learning, problem-solving-based learning, you've got imagination-based learning, and it's the imagination that's going to be really important because you're not going to have an imagination that you think you're going to have at this age. If you try to imagine something now, it's a film or a game that comes into your mind. The ability to see a piece of card and to put it into something else in the world and grow, that's gone since you were a child. That was taken away from you. I don't say you were told to leave it because you're now an adult.
Yeah.
Right? You're an adult. It's the thing when you buy the child, empties the toy just to play with the polystyrene and we get upset because the toy costs so much. Right? We get upset about that and we throw the polystyrene in the box because we want to force the child to play with the car. But the car's limited because the car is already fixed. It's a fixed thing. It's a car. You can turn it up and walk around as a person, but it doesn't feel the same because you have another toy, a teddy or an action man that can do that for you, right? Mm-hmm. But when you have a piece of card, that piece of card is the car. It has a multiple purpose because it relies on you and your imagination and how you see something. Yeah. Right? That's what education will become. Mm-hmm. Here's a point of view. You're writing a script. Let's say you've just written a script. So you got it in script form. It's a PDF format. You've written it out. You can now put it in something like projects in ChatGPT. You can put it out there and you can say, right, I've given you the script. I've given you the bio of the characters. Now I want to speak to Phil, who's a character. Phil, how do you feel about your relationship to Molly? And you'll get a feedback text, or you'll get a voice feedback. You'll go, well, Matthew, okay, well, because I blah, 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 I still love her for this other reason. You go, well, how do you love her for this other reason when this happened and that happened? Well, that's just part of life, Matthew. So now the script that you've created and the questions that you're asking that as the creator, the AI is allowing you to converse with your own creation. If the AI is allowing you to converse with your own creation, then where does that lead you to? So most people are thinking to themselves, okay, what the AI is going to do is just going to write a script for me. That's its purpose. Okay, no. You put in all the data and you interact with the data. So if I put in Barclays Bank accounts history, I put that in, right? I can ask tons of questions to Barclays Bank about this data and the AI tells me about this data. In the same way, if I put in a film script with a bio, because I've done it already. Yeah. Right? I've done this on ChatGPT. I've got my own story and I started to ask questions about it. Now that's just not for story, that becomes education. So Khan Migo, which is like an AI, which is really an online education system which is free. Khan Migo's guys, I'm reading his book at the moment, Salman Khan, and he says, for example, his daughter came up with a story, right? Using ChatGPT 4.0, came up with a story of characters, put the story in, and then ask the machine, then talk to the character. You know, the character's on the beach or whatever. Ask it, well, why did you do this? Even though she wrote it, why did you? And the character's explaining why they did that thing. So you're creating something and you can interact with the thing you've created. A long-winded rant, we'll get there in a second. A couple of years back, 2004, I was into, I wanted to do something around games.
Yeah.
Right? But I wanted to do something around games as complex systems, you know, as systems that were alive, right? So all things connected, they create an emergent reaction, and the emergence thing is what seems lifelike. So SimCity 4 seems like it's alive as a city, even though it isn't, right? And I was very interested in that and artificial life. So I did a lot of study of ants, right? It's very interested in artificial life because I wanted to work around systems. I thought games had the potential to give you actually physical life working systems. Mm-hmm. And that was important because that allowed the individual to have a God's eye view of a very complex thing. It allows you to see it, okay? So you're playing a war game and you put your soldiers to fight and everything, but you'll get the consequences as well as the triumph of it. Yes, you won that battle, but the consequences is you've got population issue, you've got all these. So all these things are happening around you. And they're not making the game tiresome. They're making you think more. So they're making you interactive more. They're making you have to plan and strategize more, right?
Yeah.
But the game is alive. So recently what's happened is, I think Stanford have done that, where they had this game of, it's a 2D game, where basically they've given personalities to each one of the AI agents and let them just walk around. And they had a party. And in the party, they invited certain people to the party and didn't invite other people to the party. And in that way, what's happening is those AI agents are actually forming like artificial life systems, actually living a life. They're actually living a simulated life, but they're living a life. So you've got that. And in that vein, you have the same way that you can interact with your characters when you design a system before you actually go to shoot it, before you actually put it out there. That's a different way of thinking. That's a different way of developing. That's a different way of learning. You know, when, not how, when do you teach that?
Yeah. So.
Yes, I know. Just bored the shit out of you at that point.
No, it's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
Everyone's sleeping now. Wake me up after the break.
The producer's in the back. I'm not asleep.
Wake me up after the break.
Oh dear. Well, really.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the point of the other point there.
But
multiple agents.
Yeah.
You'll have multiple agents. You'll have agents. You imagine in post-production. The biggest problem in post-production, right, is, okay, cut my timeline of the familiarity system. Get my audio. Get my things. You're going to wait for Bill to come back when he's decided to do something for you to do it. Your whole post-production process will change. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not just a little change. It is a massive change.
Would I be bold enough to say that the biggest takeaway from this today would be we need to take things back to the box?
Yes. Imagination is key.
Yeah.
Imagination is key. Understanding how to play.
So, in a practical sense, to really see this in full force, a new system, or a sort of a system that's going to obviously be the first time we're using it today, at the end of all these episodes, we're going to have a little game. So, myself and Nick are going to play this today. I take it from the producer in the back, just to let you know, because former network member Lady Bugg is the producer for this podcast. She's put a lot of hard time and effort, which we're going to hopefully have on the screen here, sort of the slideshow here for these games. There are real humans in the game that are about to be played, and I think we're going to credit the people down below or on screen. Or in the description, if not, who these real people are, because we're using their images, obviously, if it is a real person in this game. But the point of the game is we've got to guess which of these images are AI and which of them are very much real. So this is Art or Algorithm, the first game for the first episode.
I like that.
Yep. Yeah, because the irony is that title was made up by ChatGPT. So it's good that you like it. It's not so
What happens if I get all these wrong? Why was I getting them all wrong?
I don't.
What does that say?
I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. Right. Okay. So how are we doing this? We're taking it in turns, one for each of us. So doing it. So both together. Okay. Cool. That's fine. Right then. Okay. So auto algorithm. Right. Okay. So first one up. Well, how to play. Okay, so here's the rules. Okay, 2 pictures will appear, one drawn, the other created by AI. It's your job to guess which one is which. Each point will be added up for each round you guess right. The winner gets bragging rights.
Okay.
There will be 3 levels of difficulty, easy, medium and hard. Each level will have an increase in points. All right, so I catchphrase. Okay. Right. Round 1. Okay, so we've got to guess which one's real and which one's fake. Okay, well, I think you're trying to throw me off here. What do you think? Because I think it's pretty obvious, but I don't know. Oh no, this is going to annoy me so much. What are you thinking?
Oh, do I have to guess? Well,
which one's real and which one isn't? I'm going to play the game, so I'm going to play the game how it wants me to right now. I'm going to say the left one's real. But I think this is going to throw me off.
Interestingly, because I would have gone the opposite way.
Don't do this.
But you could be right, though. You could be right.
Oh, right. Because it looks like it's done like Microsoft Paint or something. The one on the left, it looks like it's real. Someone's actually done it.
Yeah, but the one on the right, though, is... I think it's the one on the right. Well, it's supposed to be easy, so it could be the one on the right because if it's supposed to be easy, but let's just be contrary. I'm gonna go for Tom.
Yeah,
I'm going contrary.
I'm gonna say that's real. I'm
going for contrary. I'm gonna go. Tom is AI. That's what I'm going for. I'm going. Tom's AI. The cat is not AI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got it wrong.
I think the only time I'll ever be right.
I'm going to go for the complete contrary one, so you'll probably win all the points.
Right, okay, round 2. Oh, dear. Oh, okay, and easy again, okay. Pick up the pace then. We'll try and do this quick fire. Oh, no. Okay.
I'm definitely going to go for 1.1 again.
I think left's the eye. I think left's the eye.
I'm not going for that. I'm going for the first one.
I think left's the eye.
I'm going for the
left's the eye.
Nope, I'm going for left is real. I got left is real. Damn it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Does that mean I got 0 points? Nil points.
Imagine if that was the design from 4 years ago, 5 years ago. If that was the design from the movie, that'd be insane. I think. No. Oh wow. No. It looks too drawn. The one on the right. I think it's AI again. It looks too clean. I think if it's a clean image, it's probably AI. So I think the left one's AI.
I'm gonna go for the left one being real. Damn it! Again. What's going on?
Gosh darn it!
Something's up in the system somewhere. The fix is in.
Okay, round 4. Okay, medium now.
I'm not trusting what's going on here.
Oh. Ooh.
It's the one on the right. But I'm going for the one on the left.
No, this is throwing me for a loop now because I'm actually not sure.
If it's not the one on the left, then I'm going to be completely upset about this.
I think it's lovely, cleanly drawn, the one on the left. So I actually think it's the right that's the AI one.
I'll go. Left is real. Oh, damn, I was right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm good at this, you know.
Oh, damn.
Clearly, it's not far along yet. AI.
I'm done. Damn, I'm wrong. I got a point. I got a point. So we're level down. I got the point. All right, okay. Okay, I got the point. This next. Oh, medium again.
Oh, no, you. Oh, you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going for the one on the left.
Bugg, you were evil. Right, okay.
I'm going for the one on the left.
Right, right, AI.
No way! It was? Damn it! What's going on here? What is going on?
You make me look really good, Nick, and I really
What's
appreciate
going
it.
on?
I really
I
appreciate it.
just no idea what's going on here.
Oh, here we go. Right, okay.
Oh, this is hard. I like this. Ah, yes. Okay. The one on the right is AI.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to get that one because it was hard.
Competitive.
Okay. Yes. I needed to score some points here.
7.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it isn't, but I'm going to go for the left.
I
know it isn't, but I'm going for the left.
okay. Yeah, right. CI. The images just look too clean. Yeah.
Look at this thing with clean.
I don't know. It looks like there's. There's a certain. Do you know how you're saying with this film looks different to video?
Yeah.
4K.
Yeah.
It's like there's a certain cleanness to what it looks like, whereas there's a certain almost personal quality to it. So it's film. It looks. You know how it looks very raw. Like that. That looks hand drawn.
But have you noticed we've had no photographs of people?
Yeah.
Photographs of people would be very interesting if we had a photograph
It would.
of a person.
Yeah, it really would. Yeah.
That would be harder.
See, I thought it was going to be people, but it's
Especially if we did a National Geographic, because they run their data off the back of those things.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go again. Yes, 3 points.
Oh, yeah.
Although I know it isn't. Left.
It looks like a bit like a Disney movie on the left.
It's absolutely
right, okay, yeah.
left. You know what? I would put my car on this. I would stake my car on the left. That's how much I believe in this. Here are the keys. Oh, damn, I was right. Oh, damn.
Oh, I'm wrong. Yeah. I've actually been thrown for a loop. I thought
I was wrong. Okay, good.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Too soon.
Thank
Well
you,
done.
thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Highly enjoyable. This is a good game. I like this game.
So, yes, of course, there'll be a different themed one for each week's episode at the end. But yes, I think the biggest takeaway from today
Are we over?
is yeah.
Is it? Am I done?
Yep.
I thought we'd just begun.
Imagination, everybody. Imagination.
I haven't even started on talking about... Well, when I first, as a kid, and I was growing up, I thought to myself, one day I too would be on a TV show. Oh, you're up. Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thoroughly enjoyed
Thank you very much. And imagination is key. That's the biggest takeaway from today.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll keep things under wraps for now, but we will have another guest. I'm only recording again in a couple of days, but today is on the 10th. On the 17th, next Friday, as always, we will have for a second episode a new topic and a new guest. So that's it from today. I hope the year and a half long wait was well worth it. The podcast is finally back. So this isn't the pilot, but we are back in full swing. This has been Nicholas Glean. Thank you very much.
Do we have a theme song? Do you have a theme song?
Yes, roughly, yeah.
Hanging out with Matthew, hanging in the room. It's good fun. How about you? Would you have something like that at the end? Or?
We'll get you in the bunker. We'll get it recorded. I'm fully down for that.
Matthew and friends hanging out together.
Do you know what you're missing? You're missing the barbershop quartet behind you. That's what you're missing.
Well, we really should be taking my voice and putting it with AI and then have a
Oh, yeah, that's funny. No, thank you very much. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. And yes,
you.
I will see you next week, as always, with a new guest and new topic.
Thank you very much.
This has been the BWN Podcast. See you later. See you next time. Goodbye, guys.
Tune in next week.
See ya.
Oh, so much fun.